Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you guys are in the world. Firstly, thank you very much for tuning in and lending me your ear. For those of you, the Muslims among you who are fasting, or even even the non-Muslims maybe who might be practicing fasting or whatever, to show a bit of solidarity. I remember when I did my teacher training, we were doing our training in the month of Ramadan. And there were loads of non-Muslims who did like a day of fasting. But anyway, I pray that it's going well for you guys on our first day. So this episode is quite obviously I wanted us to talk about a load of the vocabulary that we use all the time in the month of Ramadan. But I thought, in this episode, we're going over the 10 really important words in Arabic that you need to understand for the month of Ramadan, because these words roll off the Muslims' lips every Ramadan from the age of about 5, right? But very few people really know what they mean or where they come from. So what I want to do in this episode is really just dive into them. So I have 10 listed words that you probably use every single day, talking about the month of Ramadan or just using them in the month of Ramadan. And yes, that's what we're going to get into. So just before we get into the podcast, I'd like to tell you a little bit about a very, very special Arabic program that I've put together called the Arabic in 60 Steps program. So after that, we're going to get stuck into the podcast. So see you in a second. The Arabic in 60 Steps program is a step-by-step online Arabic course, which takes you right from learning your very first few words in the Arabic language and putting them together to make simple sentences, right the way up to knowing over 1,000 Arabic words and being able to access texts like the Quran, Hadith literature, and even Arabic poetry. The minute you join, you have immediate access to the video course and up over 100 bonus resources. I'll put your premium printed and bound workbook in the post for you, first class that very same day. Wherever you live in the world, we'll get one out to you at no extra cost whatsoever. And you'll also get 6 months of one-to-one mentorship from one of our graduate level mentors. Just to give you some of the names of the mentors that we have. First, we have our brother Mohammed, who's actually been a guest on the podcast. He's actually a graduate himself of the Arabic in 60 Steps program, so he knows it like the back of his hand. But we also have our brother Ismail Beaumont, who's the founder and the creator of Maysor Arabic. It's an enormous privilege to have him as one of the mentors on the program. And then for the sisters, we have our sister Maymoon, who's actually from Singapore originally, but spent a number of years studying in Syria. She's a very, very high-level Arabic graduate, mashallah. So, the course is an investment. We need to tell you it is an investment. It needs to be so that we know the students that we're getting are serious. And you know that the teachers and the instruction that you're getting is serious and we're going to get the job done. So, although students normally have to pay thousands of pounds to get this volume of resources and support and to have it so flexible and such high quality provided for them, we actually only charge £497, and that's for lifetime access, by the way. And what's even better is that we do actually have a few different payment plans available to help students spread the cost if needs be. I mean, look, come on. Thousands of people out there are spending way over £50 a month on coffee and takeaways. Using that money for a few months to learn Arabic instead is a seriously good deal. To find out more, to have a personal phone call with me for half an hour to see if it's a good fit for you and to see how we can get you on the program, just go to www.arabicin60steps.com. Hope to hear from you guys soon. Assalamu alaikum everybody, this is your Arabic teacher Sam, and a very warm welcome to episode 32 of the Arabic with Sam, a podcast. I pray that you guys are well and in the best of health. So today, first day of fasting, alhamdulillah. Always the first few days are a little bit shaky sometimes. In previous years, I've spent kind of my first few days just in bed. But I practice fasting a lot generally throughout the year anyway. So, I have done this year. Previously, I haven't done so. Inshallah, that'll make it a bit easier this year. So, let's get into these 10 words for talking about the month of Ramadan. So the first one, there's actually two, but they come from the same word and they pretty much mean the same thing. It's just the word for fasting itself. So there's the word siyam, which you'll hear, kutiba alaykum as-siyam, like fasting is written for you or is prescribed for you. And there's also the word sawm. And we see both of them used. Obviously, in that ayah, we see the word siyam, that fasting is kind of prescribed for you. But then if you're talking about it from the perspective of you doing the fasting, you tend to use the word sawm. The words are pretty much synonymous, really. They both just kind of mean the process of fasting. Sawm or siyam. And they do actually come from the verb sama yasumu. It is one of these hollow verbs. I could have included it in step 9 in the Arabic in 60 Steps program. For those of you other students who are listening, I could have included it in there. If you're on that step, write down sama yasumu as well in your notes because it will be a very useful one. So that's just kind of the word for fasting in general, and the fasting in Ramadan is it is a pillar of Islam. It is one of the five things that actually upholds Islam. And for those of you who aren't Muslims, who work with Muslims and stuff, who might be fasting this month, fasting is a pillar of Islam. It's not something that's kind of optional. There are reasons why people are exempt from it. Reasons to do with sickness and travel and stuff like that. But But yeah, the word sawm, sawmun and siyamun are both pretty much synonymous. They're used slightly differently, but pretty much synonymously. The next is the word tarawih, tarawih. And a tarawih is actually, I'll let you guys know actually, the 22nd of this month, 22nd of May, I have an episode of Root of the Week scheduled. On YouTube, I'm going to start a little series just called Root of the Week, and we're just going to go through a different root in the Arabic language. And talk about words that come from that root and how to use that root and kind of historical significance of that Arabic language root. And is it episode 3? I think it must be episode 3 of that. We're doing the roots ra, waw, and ha, where the word ruh comes from, and that'll be a good one for you to look at. But so what is tarawih? What is tarawih, and what kind of things does it come from? Like we're really going to go into loads of detail on that in on the 22nd, inshallah. But I'll give you a little intro to it now. So its root letters are ra, waw, and ha, right? You might have heard the word ruh, meaning like a soul or a spirit, or ruh. But there is also a verb, which those of you who speak Arabic you'll be familiar with. Raha yaruhu means to go somewhere. Its actual root meaning, it's like dhahaba, to go somewhere, but it's specifically in the evening or at night. And what the tarawih is, the tarawih prayers, what they are when the Muslims go to the mosque at night, and you might pray 8 rak'ahs, 20 rak'ahs, or whatever, depending on the school of thought of the mosque. It's not a numbers game. Like it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm of the opinion that you pray 8, but I'll still pray 20 if I'm in a mosque where they pray 20 or whatever, or if I'm in a mosque where they pray 36 or whatever, I pray 36. Do you know what I mean? Like it's that the numbers aren't important, but it's just different mosques practice it slightly differently. So that's what it is, right? You might go and sometimes you're there for an hour and a half, right? It's not a compulsory part of the religion, but it is like a highly recommended thing to do in the religion. Like it is a really good thing to do, and it is just really nice generally. Like I love going to Tarawih. Just some of the best nights of my life really were praying Tarawih in Cornwall. It was really nice. Like most of the Muslims in Cornwall are Bangladeshis who have restaurants and stuff, so like we'd pray really late, like 1 o'clock in the morning we'd start. But so that's what tarawih is, and tarawih, as I was kind of saying, like it has the root meaning of like to go out at night, which is what you do when you go out to the masjid at night. It has to do with the word ruh, soul, and it's kind of a spiritual thing that you do when you go out at night. And what was the other thing? Yeah, there's also, it also kind of has like the word istaraha, the form 10 istaraha is to kind of relax or to kind of be at peace. Right, and it's kind of tarawih, these night prayers are kind of an amalgamation of all of those things, right? It is you go out at night to do something spiritual, which brings you peace, which brings you rest, and so that's kind of the second word, tarawih. And I did kind of want to mention as well that it's not like a lot of my students kind of think that it's the masdar, it's the noun from the verb rawaha, tarwih. You know, verbs that are like on the fa'ala pattern, like darrasa or allama. The masdar is ta'aleem or tadris or whatever the verb is, right? Kassara taksir, right? Darrasa tadris, allama ta'aleem. But it's not that. There is a long elif in there. Tarawih. It's actually on a plural pattern, right? Like the word miftah, meaning a key. Its plural is mafatih, and tarawih is on that same pattern, right? It's on like a plural pattern. It's not it's not tarwih. It's tarawih. Nice. Next word is the word iftar. 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 Actually, the root for iftar, fatara, actually has a root of. We're actually going to do an episode of Root of the Week where we go into that too. So keep an eye on the YouTube channel, you guys. Now I'm kind of filling the gaps a little bit, but the word iftar, number 3, is actually from the verb aftara. Aftara. If you're going to say like I will break my fast, uftiru, or we are breaking our fast, nuftiru. Yeah, or I've broken my fast, aftartu. Yeah, if someone like says to you, have you broken your fast? You say, na'am aftartu, like I've broken my fast. Yeah, so aftara means literally to break your fast. But there are, like in English, like our word for breakfast comes from breaking the fast, right? That's where our word breakfast comes from. Arabic has that too, right? Arabic has the word for breakfast being from the same as the word iftar. Like you don't tend to use the word iftar for breaking, for like your normal breakfast in the morning. You use it for breaking a fast. But but they come from the same root. They absolutely come from the same root. Next we have the word suhoor. suhoor. Your suhoor is the meal that you have in the morning, right? So your iftar, even though it's like having breakfast but in the evening, right? Right? It's the meal that you use to break your fast, right? Your iftar. But your suhoor is your one in the morning, right? I really don't know what the origins of suhoor are. Like I don't know a verb like sahara or I do actually know there's a colour, ashar, asharu, and it actually comes from the same root as the word as-sahara, meaning the desert, right? Ashar is like the colour of the desert, kind of like a sandy red or something like that kind of colour. And but I'm not really sure how we get suhoor from that. Not entirely sure. I did look up whether I got it wrong and it was spelled with a sin or something, but it's not. In all the articles and stuff, it is spelled with a sad, and that is the root. And it might just be a word that has been inherited into Arabic from something. Hopefully, actually, I imagine Brother Shaheen al-Rahman will message me this evening and tell me off for not knowing, and there is something important. So if there is, I'll post something about it on my Instagram. Right? If someone messages me and tells me something that I should know about the word suhoor, I'll put it on my Instagram, because yeah, mashallah, tabarakallah. Brother Shaheen al-Rahman often has feedback for me and stuff on the podcast. He might tell me off for not knowing something. Walillah alhamd. So, okay, and the next word is the word Eid. Eid should have gone at the end, really, because it's at the end of Ramadan, but no problem. Yeah, Eid is just a festival, it's a celebration, right? There is a verb that it comes from, ayyada, which means to kind of, to celebrate something. It's very close to like ihtafala. It's very close to that. Like, it just means to celebrate or to observe a certain celebration is the word Eid. And there are only two Eids in Islam. There's one, there's Eid al-Adha, like the Eid of the sacrifice, and there's the one at the end of Ramadan, which is Eid al-Fitr. The word fitr, again, right, from aftara, like we saw in number 3. So, and then the next word that I wanted to say is, this is something that's really important to do in the month of Ramadan, is as-sadaqa. Sadaqatun. Yeah, as-sadaqa. It means charity, right? So charity is something that skyrockets, alhamdulillah, in the month of Ramadan. Like, the Muslims tend to give a serious amount of money to the poor in Ramadan, and that's absolutely what we should do, right? Like, the good deeds that the Muslim does are just multiplied in the month of Ramadan. And but the word sadaqah itself, like, I suppose in English our word charity, we do kind of have to be charitable and stuff. We have the idea of that, but a sadaqah, like the term as-sidq is to be truthful about something, right? Like as-sidq, there's a hadith in which the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Alaykum bis-sidq." It is upon you to be truthful, right? Like the Muslim has to tell the truth, basically, is what it means. Alaykum bis-sidq. And it comes from the same root as that. And even like the verb sadaqah, and then even the form to sadaqah is to speak the truth about something. So for sadaqah to be sadaqah, it needs to be sadiq. It needs to be truthful, right? It needs to be sincere. It needs to be truthful for it to be really be sadaqah. Sometimes people kind of use charity as a means for something else, right? Like, you might get a big company that donate a laptop or donate computers to a village in Africa or whatever, and like, so sometimes it's more about it's more about what that company or that individual can gain from it personally. Like, it's like that. Although there might be good that comes from it, that isn't necessarily sadaqah, because it's not sadiq. Like, you've not done it sort of truthfully for that purpose. You've not done it for the sake of Allah to help that person. So but that those are kind of the things that kind of those are kind of some of the meanings that surround the idea of sadaqah. Next, number 7, we're getting close to the end, is the word sabr. Sabr. I thought I would include sabr because at the end of the day, like I love the month of Ramadan. Like, I look forward to the month of Ramadan. But there are some times in the month of Ramadan where you just need to exercise a bit of patience. You know what I mean? There are sometimes, especially when I want to be making videos, and I want to be, responding to all of my messages on Instagram, all of my emails, I want to be talking to students and stuff. And just naturally, you won't have the same energy levels sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Like, once you've been fasting for 15 hours or whatever, you will just have to practice sabr. You will have to practice patience. And there is a verb sabara, and the active participle is really common as sabir. Sabir. If someone is sabir, it means that they are patient. I heard in Palestine there's like a kind of affectionate term for a donkey is Abu Sabir, is like the patient one, because I don't know. Like, I don't think it's just a Palestinian thing. I think it is just I think it's an Arab thing in general. But around the world, when you see donkeys, they're so patient. Sometimes they just stand there for hours. Like people who actually use donkeys to like get around and they use them to carry stuff. Like a donkey might just be stood outside a house just looking off in one direction for like for 5 or 6 hours, right? So like a name for a donkey for a himar is Abu Sabir. But yeah, sabr is the word for patience, and yeah, sabir is a patient one, and as-sabirun are the patient ones. And a lot of you will have heard as-sabirin. There's a very famous kind of it's repeated a few times actually in the Quran, I believe, but where we hear inna Allaha ma'a sabirina. Yeah, in that case it needs to be sabirina because it's after ma'a. You know, ma'a will change the case of the sabiruna to be sabirina. Yeah, but inna Allah, indeed Allah, ma'a sabirin, is with the patient ones. So this episode of the podcast is going on quite long. So those of you who are stuck around are the sabirin. So inna Allah ma'akum, Allah is with you because you are the sabirin. Cool. Next one, number 8 is the word taqwa. Why have I included taqwa? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that that's the month of Ramadan is to increase us in taqwa. Yeah, is la'allakum tattaqun. Is so that you will become more taqi. You will be more taqi. And so what is taqwa? So taqwa is really shielding yourself from sins. If you are a person of taqwa, you will protect yourself from sins. So yeah, so it does mean piety. It does mean piety, but it kind of has like I believe it actually comes from the word like wiqaya or something like that, which means like a shield. It's literally taking active steps to protect yourself from the temptation of committing sins. So like an act of taqwa would be let's say like you're going out on a journey or whatever, and you want to make sure that you don't miss your salah, right? Like an act of taqwa might be making wudu before you go, like having the things in place to protect yourself from missing your salah. Right, like that is an act of taqwa. And obviously the month of Ramadan itself, like when you're fasting, that is an act of taqwa, because when you're practicing not even doing things that are normally halal, right? It's halal to drink water. It's halal to eat chicken burger. Do you know what I mean? Like, but you're not doing those things when you're fasting. So you're practicing not doing things that are permissible. So if it were to come to the time where you might want to do something that's not permissible, there's no way you'd do it. Like you've gotten so good at not even doing things that are halal, let alone doing things that are not halal, right? So that brings us on to another point about the month of Ramadan. You know, this is number 9. I wanted us to talk about the word shaitan. Shaitan. A really common mistake I always used to make in my tajweed is saying like shayatan. You know, you'd say shayatan ya rajim. Yeah, but it's not shayatan. It's just shaitan, and it means the Satan. Right, the Satan, the devil, right, who is from the jinn, who's not from the angels, he's from the jinn, and yeah, shaitan, the plural of which is shayateen. You shouldn't use it, but sometimes people do use it to kind of describe really naughty children, so that they're shayateen. Yeah, and you do have a plural because I think this confused me actually a little bit. Obviously, coming from like the Christian tradition, from my background, like you do have the plural shayateen. And it's because, like, the shaitan, when we talk about ash-shaytan, we're talking about a jinn who was called Iblis, and he got given the name shaitan, right? But, like, other jinn can become shayateen, right? If they're, like, followers of the shaitan, of Iblis, then, yeah, so that's why it has a plural. The plural shayateen is mamnu' min as-sarf. Actually, so is the word shaitan. Both of them are mamnu' min as-sarf as well. So you don't hear like shaytanun or shayatinun. You just see shaytanu or shayatinu. And then the last one, this is number 10, and it's something that you do in the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan, and it's i'tikaf. I'tikaf. It's obviously a Form 8 verb, i'takafa. Is that right? I'takafa, it is, isn't it? And it kind of means to be kind of devoted, or or like you're committed or devoted to something. And i'tikaf, when you do i'tikaf, it means that you kind of you seclude yourself in the mosque. It doesn't actually technically need to be in the mosque. It just needs to be seclusion that you can practice. It's optional to practice, but but people all over the country, like in every mosque in the country, there'll be people practicing it, where they stay in the mosque for the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan. Like, they don't leave it at all. They stay in the mosque, they sleep in the mosque, they eat in the mosque. They do everything just in the mosque for those last 10 days. I've only ever done it once in my life. I did it in Cornwall a few years ago, alhamdulillah. But yeah, it does come from the root akafa. There is a word akif. Yeah, that's used in the Quran as well. The word akif in Surah Al-Hajj, I believe. What does it come after? I can't remember. You can look it up yourself. The word akif as well. It's kind of people who are dwelling somewhere. Al-akif. Aakifun is obviously the fa'il, the ism fa'il, the active participle of akafa. So those are the 10 words. Okay, I'll just do one last run through them. So we had sawm and siyam, then we had tarawih, then we had iftar, we had suhoor, we had eid, we had sadaqa, sabr, taqwa, shaitan, and i'tikaf. So I hope that was useful actually as well for the non-Muslims as well, just to have a bit of an insight into what their colleagues and friends and stuff are up to this month, and some other useful words that are around it as well, and good for the Muslims as well, so that you have a little bit of context on these words that you are talking about every single day and roll off your lips every day. So yes, that's it for this episode of the podcast. What I will say just as we're coming to the end of the podcast, is I do really want to thank my patrons. Obviously, I have a Patreon now. I have a page where people can go and they can pledge $1 a month, $2 a month, $100 a month, $200 a month. I don't think I've got $200 a month, but $50 a month and whatever. And there are a number of different incentives that people can get, right? Like if you're contributing $50 a month, I think, or $70 a month or something like that, then I'm going to have merchandise for you, right? Like you get Arabic language orientated merchandise every month. Or, if you contribute just $1, you get to vote on up and coming episodes and stuff like that. Like if there's a topic you particularly want me to cover, you can suggest ideas and stuff like that too. So I really want to thank my patrons. You guys are amazing. You guys who will put your hand in your pocket and help me out a little bit on this mission that I have to make the Arabic language a bit more accessible to people and play my part in just improving the level of the Arabic language among the people. Yes, I want to thank you guys personally for that. So that's everything for this video, or just podcast. Actually, some of you are just listening in the ears, aren't you? Yes, that's everything for this episode. Next episode 33, we're going to be talking about the Kana family. Ages ago, I did do an episode about using Kana, how to use the verb Kana, and a number of people have asked me, well, what are the other sisters of Kana? Because there's like 13 of them or something, and I only ever talk about a few of them. So we're going to talk about the whole Kana family next week, and it'll be quite a nice episode. Those of you like grammar, or those of you like verbs or whatever, you'll love it. So that's everything. What else do I want you to do? I want you to have a great day. So let's end it there, guys. Catch you guys in the next episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.